What's going on, guys? Aaron from Top Tier Gaming here, and today I am covering sort of what happened this last weekend at Nationals. A lot of things going on with it. I want to run through a lot of things with this sort of event that just happened. Sort of analyzing it, but going over some really cool stuff and some fun stuff as far as like reacting to sort of the tier list I made with the previous, like the Nationals tier list where I ranked every deck and see how close I got to some of the predictions. But yeah, I do want to let you guys know, Discord link down below if you want to follow the channel more closely, along with all of our other social media links. You can find those in the description down below. Also, I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you do enjoy this Yu-Gi-Oh content, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps me out in what I do here on the channel. Without further ado, let's start talking about what happened at Nationals last weekend, and going over sort of the top 64, because I think that is... a lot of people have already seen that by now. This is going up on Tuesday, so it's been like a few days since the event actually happened, finished Sunday. But for the top 64, if you're unaware, I have my list here. So there were 10 Adventure Punk decks, there were 8 Swordsoul decks, there were 8 Dragon Link decks, there were 7 Despia decks, there were 5 Fluanderees, 5 Therion Punk, so Punk Therion, 3 Eldritch, 3 Sky Striker, 2 Plunder Patrol, that is awesome, 2 Drytron, 2 Adventure ABC, so that, you know, that's the ABC deck with the Brave stuff, but usually Therion as well. I'm assuming Therion King Regulus was in that list. 2 branded Predaplant, which they are differing from regular Despia, so 2 Predaplant variants made it. 1 Bird Up, that is awesome. 1 Synchro Adventurer, 1 PK, nice. 1 Adignister, really surprised about that actually, I'll explain why later. 1 Salamangreat, 1 Tri-brigade Punk, which I think was one of the more interesting decks on this list. Now, I've seen the deck floating around on Dueling Book before this event, so I knew of its existence, but I definitely didn't expect it to place as well as it did, so that's pretty cool. And lastly, 1 Marincess, which got 64th place. That was Elijah Green. We're going to go more in depth on his list as well, because I mean, for the past like couple weeks, I've been Marincess tier gaming, so I really want to go over the Marincess part of this for sure. Yeah, I think that's awesome. Like, this top 64 is great because it is one of the most diverse top 64s I think the game has ever seen. And I know not everyone is a fan of that, and then there's the argument that is the format actually diverse because all the decks are funneling into Hauki Fibrax and Scythe, or at least a large portion of them. So it's like the illusion of diversity, but it's really not because every deck ends on the same thing, which for this top 64 I just don't really think that's true. I mean, like, the Punk stuff is going for it, but like Dragon Link goes for Borland and not always Scythe for sure. Swordsoul doesn't Scythe. Fluanderees is worse than Scythe. But yeah, there's a lot of decks here that aren't going for Hauk stuff. They're not going for Scythe stuff. Definitely a lot of Mystic Mind, though. There's definitely a bunch of toxic stuff on this list, don't get me wrong. But it's toxic diversity, so, you know, do with that what you will. But yeah, I really like this top 64 now. There's definitely a couple things I wish were on this that aren't, but that's besides the point. To quickly go over the top 4, you know, what actually ended up becoming like the top of the top after the top 64. We had 1 Marincess, which is awesome, and again, I want to talk about that. 1 Sky Striker, 1 Fluanderees, and 1 Swordsoul. And Swordsoul ended up beating Sky Striker in the finals, so that sort of wraps up what all top 64'd and what made top 4 and eventually ended up winning. So now I definitely want to go over sort of like my predictions I did before, but before that I do want to, you know, big shout out to Hansel, I think is how his name is pronounced, for winning with Swordsoul. Swordsoul, a deck definitely a fan favorite of mine, because, you know, I did take it to a regional and I got top 4 with it, and my friend Mason also did the same, so we like Swordsoul, and we were definitely cheering for it against Sky Striker. No hate to Sky Striker players, but the way the deck has sort of devolved into Mystic Mind Turbo is a little bit, you know, it leads me away from the strategy a bit. Now, that being said, there were no offerings, or there was no demise of the land in the Sky Striker list, and Swordsoul was also on Mystic Mind in this event, so, you know, they were both on Mystic Mind, and it ended up being Floodgate Turbo, which says a lot about the current state of the game, hoping that some Floodgates actually leave on the next ban list. But yeah, this isn't a video to go over all the deck lists. I'm sure you guys have seen that a billion times by now, and if you want to find the deck list, they're definitely out there on YouTube. The only deck list I'll probably be going over is Elijah Green's, and I definitely want to go over that. But yeah, on to the sort of my tier list, which I'll have up here on the screen. Alright, going over my tier list here now that I'm looking at it and I can remember exactly where I place things. We'll start from the top and then work our way down. We're not going to take too long on this because I know not everyone is really here for the reaction to my last video, but because this video was so new, I did want to see how much we got right, how much we got wrong, and what surprised us. So looking at the list here, I put Dragon Link as the best deck. Even after the results of Nats, I still think Dragon Link's the best deck. It was one of the most represented decks in the top cut, and I think in top 32 it was the most represented. I could be wrong on that. Either top 32 or top 16, it was the most represented deck in the room, and they all lost out in top 8, but, you know, I still think it was the best deck in terms of sheer power. For good chance to win, I had Despia, which they did amazing. Swordsoul ended up winning the event, so definitely didn't anything wrong there. And then Punk Teleport stuff is what I labeled with the Xiamen. And of course that deck did really well, but nothing here was really like a hot take. These decks were known to be doing very well. Punk Therion did a little better than I thought it would. Like, I put it in great chance to top, which is where I was placing like 4 or 5 tops. And it got 5 tops, so technically I was right, but honestly it did better than I thought it would. I thought the other Punk variants would take over for sure. Plunder did exactly as well as I thought it would, so we were accurate there. Pretty much accurate with every single thing on this list so far. Until we get to Drytron, which Drytron really sort of let me down, and I think there were 2 in top 64, I believe, which is, you know, not terrible, but I thought there were going to be 5 or 6. I thought Drytron was well positioned in this format, had one of the craziest go first in the game. I like the Vanity's Ruler stuff with the Magic-y Trap or the Amorphage guy. You could go either route, both were good, but Droll was definitely being played so much at this event, so maybe the fact that Droll was being main decked more, you know, it kills Drytron. Their best game is game 1 because they're so weak to the side deck, always have been. So losing game 1 more often definitely hurt the deck, and I think it showed in their ranking. Next we have Marincess, which is one of my hot takes because I wanted Marincess to do well. I was sort of sending them my energy with that sort of great chance to top placement. Did I think they would get more than 1 top? I did. I thought they would get 3 maybe? And I know some got knocked out round 11, so I think it was really unfortunate that Marincess ended up the way it will, but I will be going over Elijah Green's list and things about it and what I want to talk about it. And sort of, you know, I put it in great chance to top, and while it didn't get 4 or 5 tops, 1 did make it to top 4, so placement in numbers is kind of wrong, but it did do exceedingly well. So let's go Marincess. If it had just won 2 more games, I would have been throwing a party like I said in that video. ABC did get 2 tops, so we labeled that correctly going on. Dinomorphia, I have an unfortunate story about Dinomorphia. So I built a Dinomorphia list and I was going to go to Nationals, and then before deciding if I was going to go, I switched to Marincess because I decided, yeah, I want to play Marincess. Marincess is the deck I'm loving so much right now, I want to take that. But then I just couldn't, like, things that happened with me going to Nats, essentially I couldn't get off work, and I ended up not going. However, the deck I built for Dinomorphia that I initially was going to take, I gave to Patty, who you have seen upload on the channel before, maybe if you follow the channel closely. And he did extremely well. He made it to day 2, X2, so he couldn't lose any games day 2. And the first match he played day 2 was Despia, and he wasn't able to take it. But Dinomorphia really did almost get top 64 at this event, because there was a good chance Patty was going to top at X2. Even if he got a draw, there was a chance he was going to top at X2-1. However, just not able to really pull it out day 2, which was unfortunate for both him and Dinomorphia. I still think that if more people played this deck, it would have topped, because Patty was very new to the strategy, and, you know, I did some testing with him, and he definitely became solid with the deck as it went on. But, like, a more experienced Dinomorphia player potentially could have done even better. Like, it's such a good deck, it's so powerful. I really think it could have topped 64 if more people opted to run the strategy. But it didn't, so we were wrong with Dinomorphia. Eldritch doing slightly better than I thought it would, nothing too surprising. Phantom Knight did get a top, which I think Phantom Knight was actually a hot take. I think a lot of people thought Phantom Knight weren't going to top, but they did get a top, so we were right there. Libromancer kind of let me down. There was one doing well in Swiss for sure, but they just didn't make it day 2. And Libromancer ended up not topping, but I had a lot of faith in that deck. I really thought it could. Bird Up took 1 slot. Tri-brigade took 2 slots in total, so nothing surprising there. Sky Striker did slightly better than I thought it would, so nothing crazy there, and of course they did get second. Evil Twin didn't make it. I still think it was the second best Cyberse deck at this event. We were wrong with the prediction, but I feel like, again, it was just more of a player count thing. I don't think there were that many Evil Twin players there. But yeah, I had more faith in it than the other Cyberse decks. VW didn't make it, and Zombie actually there was one Zombie Punk variant. I know Kobe Short got second after Swiss with the Zombie Punk stuff, so one Zombie did make it. So for the most part, super accurate with our predictions. To go over like the not topping things that actually surprised me. Plunder Patrol took 2 slots. That is awesome. I said in the video I'd be super happy if they did because I love that deck. And then I know Altergeist actually bubbled their last round 11. I think there was an Altergeist guy that would have made it to top 64 if he won, but he bubbled and didn't make it, which is unfortunate. You know, honestly, taking a picture at Buzzsaw Shark here, Sharks didn't top, but there was actually an Eldritch variant. I think someone from 1UP TCG, I've played against him before, but I'm forgetting his name. He was actually running Buzzsaw Shark in his Eldritch side deck, which was hilarious. But yeah, so Sharks didn't top, but Buzzsaw actually did make an appearance top 64, so that's funny. Addingnister and Salad both got 1. I honestly still don't feel like they were the decks to play at this event, but they did well, so congrats to the players who ran them. Obviously, no slack to them. I mean, it's amazing to top 64 Nationals level event. I still feel like Addingnister was actually the weakest Cyberse deck to take to this event. I love Addingnister. I have the deck, but I just felt like Droll was going to be in the room too much, and it has less outs to Droll and Nibiru than the other Cyberse decks, except maybe Salad. It has a really tough time with Nibiru. And Salamangreat made it, which I still feel is just like weaker Marincess, but, you know, it's still a good deck, so it was able to top. That is going to be it for reacting to my stuff. A lot of stuff I'm just covering in this video, sort of an analysis on Nats. I just want to talk about how everything went. But yeah, I think I think our predictions here were pretty spot on. I mean, there's a couple of outliers, that's the word I'm looking for. Being Drytron, I think, and being sort of the Plunder Patrol getting 2, and Dynamorphia getting none, Evil Twin getting none. There was a couple of outliers, but for the most part, I think we nailed the prediction. So now I want to get into what I consider the main part of this video, where I'm going to be talking about Elijah Green's Marincess list. Huge shout out to Elijah Green. Like, he won Charlotte with Prank Kids, and, you know, I wasn't the biggest fan because I did not like the Prank Kid strategy one bit, but Marincess, super huge, you know, favorite pick of mine, so I was definitely cheering for him to win the entire thing, and I definitely want to talk about sort of his last top 4 match and his list, so let's get on into that. Alright, I pulled up the list in front of me, definitely going to go over it and sort of give my thoughts on the list and some things I like, some things I don't like. Now again, this is just going to be my opinion. I'm not trying to pretend I'm the Marincess master. I have played a lot of Marincess and I've done exceedingly well with the deck, getting multiple first place finishes. And it's a deck I have played for months, so I do think I have good insight. But again, I'm not saying my opinion is better than him. His choices were right for him. I am just going to give my opinion on the Marincess strategy and his list involving it. That being said, going over his list that I have on screen, the biggest thing that sticks out to me initially, before I go into how his matchups work, actually before I talk about the deck, he went X2-1 in Swiss, starting with a 2-round bye. A caster said he had the VIP tournament, so I'm assuming he had 2-round bye. And he went X2-1 by the end of it, squeaking into 64th place. The first thing I want to say about his list is I do not think it was designed for Swiss at all. Like, maybe he was going into it very, like, thinking about the top cut extremely hard, but I do not think this deck was prepared for Swiss. I want to look over his flex spots, right? 3 Ogre, 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, 3 Nibiru, 3 Imperm, 3 Triple Tactics Talents. Those are the cards you can consider flex. Hand Traps and Tactics is a go second card. There's too many flex spots in this list not to run an out to Mystic Mine when everyone knew it was going to be, like, dominant at this event. I feel like an Ogre should have come out, or an Imperm should have come out, or a Tactic should have come out for a Cosmic Cyclone or a Harpy's Feather Duster 100%, because there's no out to Mystic Mine game 1 in this deck. Like, you either save your Toad Negate if you're able to get there, exactly for Mystic Mine, or you lose to Mystic Mine. There's no out in this deck. You just lose to a game 1 Mystic Mine. So very little respect for Mystic Mine in this list. And I think that would have been like just a Swiss killer. Like, you need to be playing a Cosmic or a Feather Duster if you're running as many flex spots as Marincess. Like, that's so many flex spots to not play one Cosmic Cyclone. When Cyclone's actually huge, like, it is as good as Ogre against the Brave Engine go first because you just hit the Fateful Adventure. It hits Therion Disc Coliseum, it hits Drytron Ritual Spell. Like, Cosmic's a good card. It's not like the best at going second, but it's a great card. I think there definitely should have been a Cosmic or a Feather Duster in the main, 100%. The next thing I want to talk about with his flex spots here is no Droplet, which, again, talking about Swiss rounds, something Marincess does not want to deal with is Artifact Scythe. And you could definitely say, oh, I'll just get Scythed and my flex spots will help me survive a turn. Or, you know, I stop them from getting to Scythe with my hand traps, which just definitely looks like the direction he was taking. But Droplets in Marincess is just, like, naturally not bad. Like, going second, it can be tough to discard certain things, but you're a one-card starter deck. The one issue I always have with Droplets is that you can negate a board, but then Snow is going to help you. You're just going to lose to Snow anyways, which made Droplets tough, but his list was also sort of just going to lose to Snow regardless with the Droplets sort of reasoning I'm giving. I think taking out Imperms in particular for Droplets would be better because they're both off your Heat Soul, like they're both going to be the same card essentially. They're both the great 6th. Imperm, of course, is a hand trap, which is nice, but Droplet is so much, like, such a higher impact card, and I felt like Droplet should have been in his list, but maybe it didn't work out for him, and that's why he chose Imperm. And next I want to talk about Triple Tactics Talent. I have a list on the channel that I got first place with Triple Tactics Talent. It's a good card. That being said, I strayed away from the card because I think Triple Tactics Talent is pure just cope in this deck. Like, it is technically an out to Nibiru, but only against bad players, in my opinion. In my personal opinion, Tactics is only an out to Nibiru in this deck when you're playing against someone who doesn't know the deck. If you're playing against someone good, Tactics does not out Nibiru. And what I mean by that is, if you don't get to Bahamut Shark, you're going to lose to Nibiru no matter at which point of the combo you're in. Like, you can save certain resources to make either a rank 4 after it, or attempt to play a little bit after it. But oftentimes, unless your hand is Turbo Gas, you're not making a full board after getting nibbed, especially if they wait till the end. There's like cool plays where you can still make a rank 4 again, like I said, but playing around Nibiru, your opponent could open 3 hand traps, and they can save just Nibiru, and it will be just as effective almost at using all 3 of the hand traps, is what I'm saying. So, like, the objective of Tactics to me was, Sea Angel is such a hot hit, right? Like, they're going to Imperm. Well, I guess Imperm doesn't matter in this case. They're going to Valor or Ash Sea Angel if you allow them to without chain blocking for the Ash. And then you can Tactics away the Nibiru. That was the idea for me for it playing around Nibiru. But again, I think only, like, if you have Nibiru and you're afraid of Tactics, just save Nibiru. You don't need to activate Valor or Ash, because nothing they're going to do, like, they're going to be able to eat through those cards regardless. Marincess absolutely just shreds through hand traps. Like, if it doesn't care, and like a decent hand, it doesn't care about Valor, it doesn't care about Ash, it doesn't care about Imperm, it almost cares about no hand trap except Nibiru and Gamma. And then sometimes it doesn't even care about Gamma that much. But yeah, like, I think Tactics is sort of cope as an out to Nibiru. It's a good go second card, don't get me wrong, but I think Droplets is better. It is a very good card when your opponent opens only a non-impactful hand trap. Like, if they open Ash or Valor, of course they're going to use it on Sea Angel or Triangle. And then you're able to Tactics for a draw 2, which in that situation is great. But as far as for playing around Nibiru, not a big deal. And if you're getting hit by low impact hand traps, I still don't think it's a big deal because Marincess just eats through those, like I said. I think Tactics should have been an extending package. Now, maybe he tried Silent Sea Nettle and didn't feel like it was impactful enough. Maybe he tried Abyss Shark, it took too many slots and he couldn't play with Desires, or didn't want to play it with Desires. Maybe he tried Swap Frog, which I do think Swap Frog is just too weak to play right now in this deck. It's okay, but it's not as good as Sea Nettle, in my opinion, or Abyss Shark. That being, me personally, I like Silent Sea Nettle. I've tested Abyss Shark for a long time. Not the biggest fan. I think Silent Sea Nettle should have been in this deck because the card is insane for making Bahamut Shark. There are so many 3-card combos that lead into Bahamut Shark before Summon 5. And these aren't 3 specific cards. These are 3 cards of like a multitude of cards. Like, you have like 14 different ways to open this 3-card combo. So like maybe adding over the Tactics to Silent Sea Nettle and like a Monster Reborn, I felt like there should have been an extending package. And there were a couple of games, I think his round 3 where he was on the feature match where he bricked on Triple Tactics Talent. And yeah, that's just tough. So that's all I really want to say about his list. Again, you know, I'm not trying to down his list. I think his list worked great for him. He obviously top 4. Congrats to Elijah Green. I was really in his corner. I really wanted him to take it all. So again, no flack for the list. Those are just my opinions on what he ran. Talking about his side deck and sort of how he lost to Sky Striker. He's not maining any back row hate, and he sided Feather Duster and 3 Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm, cool in Marincess because it doubles down as hate for monsters and spells and traps, and Marincess don't like going second as much, so it's a neat pick. But that being said, you're a field spell deck that can't out its own field spell, and that came up for him. It's the Lightning Storm issue. So he lost his round 2 against Sky Striker because his opponent had Cosmic, even if opponent had Cosmic, he was able to actually Lightning Storm. He probably comes back in that game and wins. But Lightning Storm being the back row hate of choice definitely came back to bite him. And then game 3, I believe he got Nibiru'd. And again, his list was naturally weaker to Nibiru, not running the Silent Sea Nettle. So Nibiru was going to get him in his average hands. And those cards definitely came in clutch. And the reasons I mentioned what I did earlier were things that I feel like fixed the problems that he lost to. But I think his side deck was clean. Definitely worked for him. My side deck, it was running Crow and Droll like his. It was, of course, running Gozen. Ran Feather Duster. I run evenly matches in place of Lightning Storm, and I also run Twin Twister to sort of help with more back row. But I also run like 1 Cosmic main deck, so that again helps with like TC Boo and just all the back row stuff. And then over Token Collector, I was running Chalice because I feel like Chalice, while not an impactful go second card, is super good versus things like Mirror Jade or Snow in particular. I wanted like quick play negates to that, and I actually found in my testing that Chalice was really good, especially in combination with Droplet, similar to like Imperm. That is all I want to talk about for his list. Me and his extra deck are exactly the same, so noticing his list doesn't play Crystal Heart or Mandarin, so definitely good ideas on him. I don't know when he was testing if he saw my profile and saw those weren't there, but if he did, that's cool. If he didn't, I saw he was grinding on Dueling Book a lot, so he might have found out for himself that those are not cards you need to run and decided to take them out. But either way, really cool list. Congrats to Elijah Green for top 4, but I really think you could have taken it all the way if he had a little bit more fortune in the Sky Striker matchup or his list was slightly different. Again, I think it was more of a top cut, like, built list. I don't think it was a Swiss built list or didn't have it as much in mind, but that's just my opinion. That is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. I went over a lot there. This video was a lot longer than I thought it would be, but I just want to talk about Nats and sort of, Marincess at Nats because that's amazing. But yeah, this has been Aaron from Top Tier Gaming. Bye, YouTube.